Welcome to Inside More. Thanks for taking time to watch and staying up to date with your community. We have a great show for you this month.
We have more skeletons on display than any other museum in America, without a doubt.
And lucky for us, they're right here in Moore. Join us on a skeletal adventure as we explore the new Museum of Osteology. That's a bit later in the show, but first,
the services that we provide to them help coordinate their immediate life and safety from emergencies and during emergencies.
As we continue our spotlight on city departments, we'll take a look at emergency management and the 911 call center. Always there when you need them. Go behind the scenes right after this. While the economic downturn has taken a toll on all areas of the country, Moore has proven to be extremely resilient. Evidence of this can be found in the unemployment rate. The average unemployment rate for Oklahoma in 2009 was 6.4%. The national average unemployment rate for January through November 2009 was 9.2%. Moore's average 2009 unemployment rate, 5.5%, one of the lowest rates in Oklahoma.
"911, where is your emergency?"
When you have an emergency and make a 911 call in Moore, chances are it will go here to the Communications Center within Moore City Hall.
We get thousands of calls a day.
Tommy Pierce is one of several 911 dispatchers taking those calls.
When it comes to dispatch, police, and fire, it's a well-coordinated and well-trained group of people that we work with here. And, to be able to assist, citizens of Moore, and, every time they call, this is a job that you can't, there's no room for error.
The Communications Center is actually part of a larger infrastructure within the city of Moore called the Emergency Management Department.
We have two divisions. One of those is the emergency management for the city. The other is the 911 communications for the city. The emergency management side of the department deals with the preparation for, the planning for the response to and the recovery from disasters and larger scale emergencies.
Like the major snowstorms Moore endured last winter.
Last year was very unique. Our city was recipient of, or the location of, 3 separate presidentially declared national disasters within about a 5-month period.
It's the job of the Emergency Management Department to be prepared for such disasters and to coordinate how the city will respond. Based on Moore's history with weather, being prepared is key.
That's why we do the planning. We actually have a document that we're in all the time, that it is our city's emergency operations plan, and it addresses things such as sheltering, such as communications, human resources, addresses what each of our city departments are going to do during time of emergency.
When nasty weather looms on the horizon, the Emergency Management Department is often in close communication with the National Weather Service in Norman. The department also utilizes a team of volunteer storm spotters who station themselves around the city and report back on conditions.
Last year, I believe we had the volunteers out 6 or 7 different times. And actually, we did have a tornado strike last year, so they were used not only in their observation capacities, but also in their assisting the police department with traffic control.
Just stand by, okay? I'm going to connect you to an ambulance, okay?
As you can imagine, weather emergencies make for a busy time in the communication center as well.
Everybody's calling, half the city's calling us, especially when something does happen. People are calling, not just citizens, but people from out of town wanting to know if their family members are okay. Is my house still there? It's just, we all come together in here. People, all the dispatchers come in on their off time. When something like that happens, they don't even have to be told to do that. They just know that through experience here that our phones are going to be slammed and people are going to want answers. News media is calling. PDs, and fire are getting people out of houses, down power lines, It's a sense of a unity in here, and with a great director telling us what to do.
There's never a dull moment. We're in on everything that happens in our city. As it happens, we're the ones in control of where the assets are going. It's a very adrenaline-driven position, but yet not only is there the excitement of the event that's going on, but you also have the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping people that need assistance.
The department plans to have even more resources at their disposal to help with that job through the construction of a new emergency management center, part of the new police station and municipal court facility set to begin construction this year.
As part of the sales tax, public safety sales tax that our residents voted in several years ago, part of that was the building of a new facility for our 911 center and also our emergency management operations. We will be moving from our about 600 square feet here in City Hall to about 8,600 square feet over in the new police emergency communications facility. We'll have a room for our dispatchers that is operations only. We'll have an actual operations room for our city's leadership team to manage our disasters and our emergencies.
While no one wants emergencies or disasters to strike, being prepared is always the best policy and is clearly job one within the Emergency Management Department, now and in the future. For more about the Emergency Management Department, give them a call at 793-5062 or go to the city's website, cityofmoore.com. For years, Moore High School graduate Jay Villamoret has been in the business of bones. Right on the edge of Moore city limits, his company, Skulls Unlimited, cleans and assembles animal bones for clients all over the world. But just recently, Jay and his team have taken bones in a new direction by assembling the largest skeletal collection in North America and opening it to the public.
We are truly America's only skeleton museum. One might say, well, how about the Smithsonian? Well, that is true. They do have skeletons. What they don't have is only skeletons, and they certainly don't have 300 on display. We are America's only skeleton museum.
We focus on the form and function of the skeletal system. We have skulls and bones from all over the world, and we have over 300 animals represented in skulls and skeletons throughout the museum.
One of those skeletons immediately stands out when you walk in the front door, a giant humpback whale suspended from the ceiling.
The skull alone is nearly 12 feet long. It weighs over 2,500 pounds. We had to have special structural supports to actually just hold the specimen. It's not the type of specimen you can just hang from the ceiling. It took a lot of work to get it to where it is now, and it is probably the specimen we're most proud of. It's our centerpiece of the museum, and like I said, it's very unique for the Midwest. You just don't see whale skeletons here in the Midwest.
The process of assembling the bones in the correct place and making them stay is called articulation. Articulating a massive humpback whale and then hanging it from the ceiling was one of the greatest challenges the Skulls Unlimited team has ever tackled.
I believe it took us 2 years to process the entire thing and get it hung up. By the time we started working on it. The actual articulation of it took us 28 working days. So 28 days of drilling and sweating and, going back and forth to finally get it hung up.
Below the whale are numerous other large skeletons like this hippo, which also had to be articulated, having arrived at the facility as a big pile of bones. It's similar to assembling a very complicated puzzle.
There's no instruction manual. The skeletal anatomy is something you just have to learn, and we learn all that here by taking other animals apart, learning how everything works. A lot of it, once you get used to looking at rub surfaces on the bone, every bone has a bone that matches to it, obviously.
Every day, the articulators learn something new about animal form and function. And now, thanks to the Museum of Osteology, the rest of us can too.
Typically, when people come in, they start with some of the educational exhibits. What is a skeleton? What's an exoskeleton? What's an endoskeleton? What is a vertebrate? And then they get into some of the adaptations for locomotion. We get into some of the food chains and things of that, some of the basic information. And then throughout the rest of the museum, they will actually encounter a lot of classification and some of the different animal groups that possess skeletons.
From the large humpback whale to the tiniest shrew requiring a magnifying glass, the museum is a fascinating walk through the skeletal world, hidden beneath the skin and muscle of every animal. It's a veritable treasure trove for science teachers and educators looking to spice up their curriculum a bit.
You can look at the skulls of certain animals and use their teeth to determine what the animal ate. We also go into various other concepts, eye placement on a skull or skeletal adaptations that help determine how that animal lived its life, whether it lived in a tree, whether it was a hunter, whether it was a prey animal, whether it was a digger. There are a lot of different things that you can actually learn from just looking at the bones of an animal.
And the head of a bison. Oh, just another day at the Skull Cleaners.
Even before the museum, Skulls Unlimited drew national attention on such shows as Dirty Jobs and Ripley's Believe It or Not, showcasing the unique way they go about preparing all of those bones for articulation and display.
Our material comes into us frozen. We have to hand cut as much tissue from the bones as possible. From there, we have to allow them to dry. We actually have beetles, carrion beetles, it's called a dermestid beetle, that will strip the tissue from the bones. From there, we whiten the bones, degrease it, and preserve the bones, a process that takes about 6 to 8 weeks at the minimum.
Yes, there's nothing like standing in a room full of flesh-eating beetles to liven up your afternoon. While the museum doesn't allow visitors into the beetle room, they do offer a small tank in the lobby where you can see the beetles at work, eating the flesh off a future exhibit. Speaking of future exhibits, look to see many new additions in the coming months.
I like to tell folks the museum's about half finished. The physical size of the building won't change, but the specimens will, exhibits will, displays will. We're only about half finished.
Which is really saying something, considering there are already more than 300 exhibits currently on display. The entire facility and all the man-hours to clean and articulate all of those skeletons is completely funded by Skulls Unlimited. For a mere $5 admission, it's truly a community service.
When people first come, I think wow is their first reaction, and then just from the comments that we've been given over the last couple of months to reading all of the comments in the guest book, most people say it's amazing. It's very well put together. It's an incredible collection and very unique to the area. So I think people are very impressed with it.
The Museum of Osteology is located on Sunny Lane Road, just north of Northeast 37th Street. For hours and special programs, give them a call at 814-0006 or check online at museumofosteology.org. Well, that wraps up this month's episode. We're always interested in your feedback. Feel free to give us a call with story ideas or suggestions. That number is 793-5207. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.